Don't let me die, she whispered. Dan, he obeyed. The emergency beacon screamed through the darkness of space, its signal weak but clear. Commander Marcus Chen sat in the pilot's chair of his rescue ship, the Defiant, staring at the red warning lights on his display. The distress call came from the edge of the Void Nebula, a place where ships went to disappear forever. Computer, identify the signal source, Marcus said, his voice steady despite the worry in his chest. Signal originates from research vessel Auroras. Edge, reported missing 3 months ago. Warning, location is within the Void Nebula danger zone. Survival probability for rescue mission is 12%. Marcus smiled grimly. 12% was better odds than most of his missions. As the top commander of the Terran Deep Space Rescue Corps, he had pulled people out of black holes, exploding stars, and alien war zones. The Void Nebula was just another Tuesday. Set course for the signal. Maximum speed, he ordered. The Defiant jumped into hyperspace, its engines humming with power. Marcus used the travel time to study the mission files. The Aurora's Edge was a science vessel carrying 37 crew members, led by Dr. Elena Vasquez, one of humanity's best xenobiologists. They had been studying ancient alien ruins when they vanished. Marcus had heard of Dr. Vasquez. She was brilliant, fearless, and completely dedicated to her work. The kind of person who would risk everything to make a discovery that could help humanity. The kind of person worth saving. 3 hours later, the Defiant dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Void Nebula. The space around them was filled with strange purple clouds that seemed to move on their own. Energy readings went crazy as the nebula's radiation played havoc with the ship's systems. There, Marcus said, pointing at his screen, half a kilometer ahead. The Aurora's Edge drifted in space like a broken toy. Its hull was cracked and torn, with atmosphere leaking out in frozen clouds. The ship's lights flickered weakly, showing that some power remained, but not much. Marcus moved his ship closer, scanning for life signs. His heart sank as the readings came back. Most of the crew was gone. Only one life sign remained, weak and fading fast. Someone's still alive, he whispered. Hold on, I'm coming. He suited up quickly and crossed to the damaged ship through an airlock tube. The Aurora's Edge was a tomb. Bodies floated in the corridors, their faces frozen in expressions of fear and pain. Whatever had happened here, it had been terrible. Marcus followed his scanner toward the single life sign. It led him to the medical bay, where he found her. Dr. Elena Vasquez lay on a medical bed, her skin pale and covered in strange, dark veins. Machines around her beeped weakly, struggling to keep her alive. Her breathing was shallow, and her eyes were closed. She looked like she was dying. Dr. Vasquez? Marcus knelt beside her bed. Can you hear me? Her eyes opened slowly. They were brilliant green, but now they seemed to glow with an inner light. She looked at him with confusion. Then recognition dawned. You came, she whispered, her voice so weak he had to lean close to hear her. I thought no one would come. I'm Commander Marcus Chen, Terran Rescue Corps. I'm here to get you out. Elena tried to sit up but fell back with a gasp of pain. The dark veins on her skin pulsed with an eerie light. No, you don't understand. It's too late for me. But you have to take it easy, Marcus said, checking her vital signs. They were bad, very bad. What happened here? We found them, Elena said, her eyes focusing on something far away. The architects, the ones who built the ruins, they're still alive, Marcus. Still alive and still here. Marcus frowned. The architects attacked you? No. Elena grabbed his arm with surprising strength. They're dying. All of them. This thing in me. It's not a weapon. It's a cry for help. They've been trying to find someone who could help them. Someone who could survive long enough to. She coughed, and Marcus saw blood on her lips. The dark veins spread further across her skin as he watched. I need to get you to a proper medical facility, he said, starting to lift her. Wait. Her grip tightened on his arm. Listen to me. The pathogen, it's in me, but it's also changing. Me. I can understand things now, see patterns that were invisible before. The cure. It's not just for me. It's for them too. And if we don't find it, what? Elena's eyes met his, and he saw terror there. Billions will die. Not just them, us too. The pathogen is spreading, Marcus. It's already reached the outer colonies. By the time the symptoms show, it's too late. Marcus felt his blood run cold. How do you know this? Because I can feel them, Elena whispered. All of them, the architects, the colonists, everyone who's been infected. We're all connected now, and we're all dying. The ship shuddered around them as something large moved past outside. Marcus looked through the porthole and saw massive shapes moving in the nebula. Ships, but not like any he had seen before. They were alive somehow, growing rather than built. They're here, Elena said. The architects, they've been waiting. Are they hostile? They're desperate. Elena struggled to sit up again. Marcus, promise me something. Promise me you won't let me die. Not because my life matters more than anyone else's, but because if I die, the connection dies with me, and then there's no hope for any of us. Marcus looked at her readings again. According to the medical scanner, she should already be dead. Whatever was keeping her alive was beyond current human medicine. The ship's medical bay is destroyed, he said. My ship is basic facilities, but nothing that can handle this. Then we'll have to make do with what we have, Elena said. Her voice was getting weaker. But Marcus, I need you to promise me. Don't let me die. No matter what happens, no matter how bad it gets, don't give up on me. Marcus had made promises like this before. He had sworn to families that he would bring their loved ones home. He had sworn to dying crew members that they would see their children again. Some promises he had kept, others haunted his dreams. But looking at Elena, seeing the determination in her glowing eyes, he knew this was different. This wasn't just about saving one person. This was about saving everyone. I promise, he said. I won't let you die. Elena smiled, and for a moment, the pain left her face. Thank you. The ship shuddered again, more violently this time. Marcus looked outside and saw the alien ships moving closer. They were beautiful and terrible, like living crystals that pulsed with inner light. We need to go, he said, carefully, lifting Elena. Can you walk? I'll try. They made it halfway to the airlock when Elena collapsed. Marcus caught her as she fell, feeling how light she had become. The dark veins covered most of her skin now, and her breathing was barely visible. Elena, Elena, stay with me. Her eyes fluttered open. The cure, she whispered, it's not just about medicine. It's about connection, about refusing to give up on each other. That's what makes humans different. That's why we might be the ones who can save them. The medical scanner on Marcus's belt started beeping frantically. Elena's vital signs were crashing. No, Marcus said, starting CPR. Come on, Elena. You promised to help me understand. You can't give up now. But even as he worked to save her, the alien ships outside began to move. They were surrounding the Aurora's edge, cutting off any escape route, and somewhere in the distance, Marcus could swear he heard voices calling out in languages he didn't understand. The rescue had just become something much bigger and much more dangerous than he had ever imagined. Marcus pressed harder on Elena's chest, counting under his breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. The medical scanner showed a flat line, but he refused to stop. He had made a promise, and Marcus Chen never broke his promises. Come on, Elena. You can't die on me now, he said, breathing air into her lungs. You said billions of lives depend on this. Fight. Round them, the alien ships moved closer. Their crystal hulls pulsed with strange light, and Marcus could feel something pressing against his mind. Whispers in languages he didn't know, voices, full of sadness and hope. 5, 6, 7, 8. Marcus continued CPR, sweat dripping down his face. Elena's body was so still, so cold. The dark veins under her skin had stopped glowing. Then, suddenly, she gasped out. Her eyes flew open, glowing brighter than before. She grabbed Marcus's wrist with surprising strength. They're trying to talk to us, she whispered. The architects, they don't want to fight. They want to help. Marcus helped her sit up, relief flooding through him. We need to get you to my ship, Can you walk? Elena nodded weakly. I think so. But Marcus, something's changed. When I died, when I went to that place between life and death, I could hear them clearly. The architects aren't our enemies. They're just scared. They made their way slowly to the airlock. Elena leaned heavily on Marcus, her breathing shallow but steady. As they moved through the damaged corridors of the Aurora's edge, she spoke in whispers. They've been alone for so long, she said. Thousands of years. Watching their people die from this pathogen, they tried to reach out to other species. But everyone who got infected just died. No one could make the connection work. What makes humans different? Marcus asked, helping her into the airlock. We don't give up, Elena said with a weak smile. Even when we should, even when it's impossible. You just proved that. They crossed to the Defiant, and Marcus immediately took Elena to the medical bay. His ship's facilities were basic compared to a research vessel, but they were better than nothing. He hooked her up to life support and started running diagnostics. The pathogen is spreading through your system, he said, studying the readings. But it's not acting like a normal disease. It's almost like it's trying to communicate. Elena nodded. That's exactly what it is. It's how the architects share thoughts and memories, but other species' brains can't handle the connection. The neural pathways burn out, and they die. Marcus looked at the scanner readings again. So why didn't you die permanently? I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm human. Maybe it's because I want to live so badly, or maybe. She looked at him with those glowing eyes. Maybe it's because someone refused to let me go. The ship's proximity alarms started blaring. Marcus ran to the pilot's seat and saw the alien vessels surrounding them. They were beautiful, like living jewels that sang with inner light, but they were also massive, each one 10 times the size of the Defiant. They're not attacking, Elena said, joining him at the controls. They're trying to escort us somewhere. Where? I can sense it. There's a place deeper in the nebula, a safe place where we can work together. But Marcus, we need to move fast. The pathogen is spreading to the outer colonies. People are already starting to get sick. Marcus made a decision. He had come here to rescue one person, but now he was in the middle of something much bigger, to species facing extinction. And somehow he and Elena were the key to saving them both. Computer, set course following the lead alien vessel. Stay in formation. Warning, course leads deeper into the Void Nebula. Radiation levels are dangerous. I know. Marcus said, do it anyway. The Defiant moved deeper into the nebula, surrounded by the architect ships. The purple clouds grew thicker, and strange energy readings filled the screens. Marcus had to constantly adjust the ship's shields to keep them from being torn apart. Tell me more about this connection, he said as he piloted. How does it work? Elena was back in the medical bay, but she had connected her voice to the ship's communication system. It's like, imagine if you could feel everyone's emotions at once. Their fears, their hopes, their memories. The architects live like that all the time. They're not really individuals the way we are. They're more like parts of a greater whole. That sounds overwhelming. It is. That's why most species can't handle it. But humans, we're different. We can be individuals and still care about others. We can hold onto ourselves while still making connections. Marcus nodded, understanding. He had seen it in his rescue work. Humans would risk everything to save strangers. They would sacrifice their own safety for people they had never met. It was illogical. But it was also what made them human. Elena, I need you to be honest with me. What are our chances of finding a cure? There was a long pause. I don't know. The pathogen is unlike anything I've ever studied. It's not just a disease. It's a form of consciousness. To cure it, we might need to understand it completely. And that means you might need to let it spread through your system. Completely, yes. And if I'm wrong about humans being different, if I can't maintain the connection without losing myself, then you die, and we lose our only chance to save everyone. That's about right. Marcus looked at the readings from the medical bay. Elena's condition was getting worse. The dark veins covered most of her body now, and her temperature was dropping. According to the scanner, she should have died hours ago. There has to be another way, he said. Maybe there is. Elena's voice was getting weaker. Marcus, I have an idea. But it's dangerous. Very dangerous. Tell me. The pathogen spreads through direct contact. If you were to expose yourself to it, you want me to get infected too. Two minds working together might be able to handle what one cannot. The architects are a collective consciousness. Maybe we need to become one too, at least temporarily. Marcus felt his blood run cold. Elena, that's suicide. If you're wrong, then we both die. But if I'm right, we might be able to save everyone. The ship shuddered as they moved deeper into the nebula. The architect vessels around them pulsed with increasing brightness, and Marcus could feel their excitement. They were close to something important. There, Elena said. Ahead of us, Marcus looked and saw it, a massive structure floating in the heart of the nebula, part ship and part living organism. It pulsed with the same light as the architect vessels, but it felt different, ancient, powerful. It's their home, Elena whispered. The last of their kind are in there, and they're all dying. As they approached the structure, Marcus made his decision. Elena had asked him not to let her die, and he had promised. But now he realized that keeping that promise might mean risking his own life. Elena, if we're going to do this, we need to do it together. But I need you to promise me something too. What? If this connection thing works, if we can communicate with the architects, don't lose yourself in it. Stay human, stay Elena. Because if we're going to save everyone, we need to remember what makes us worth saving. Elena's laugh was weak but genuine. You're asking me to do the impossible, Marcus. Good thing humans specialize in the impossible. The Defiant docked with the architect structure, and Marcus felt a strange sensation wash over him. It was like being welcomed home by family he had never met. The architects were calling to them, begging for help, offering everything they had in return. Are you ready? Elena asked. Marcus looked at her on the medical bay screen. She was dying, but her eyes were still bright with determination. She had asked him not to let her die, and he had obeyed. Now she was asking him to risk everything, and he would obey that too. I'm ready, he said. Let's save the galaxy. But as he prepared to leave the ship, the medical scanner started screaming again. Elena's vital signs were crashing, and this time, Marcus wasn't there to bring her back. Marcus ran back to the medical bay as the alarm screamed. Elena's body was convulsing, her back arching off the bed as the dark veins spread across her face. The scanner showed her brain activity spiking dangerously high. Elena, stay with me. Marcus grabbed the emergency medical kit, but he knew his basic field training wasn't enough for this. Whatever was happening to her was beyond human medicine. Elena's eyes snapped open, but they weren't looking at him. They stared at something far away, something only she could see. When she spoke, her voice was different, layered, as if multiple people were talking at once. So much pain, she whispered. They're all dying, Marcus. I can feel every one of them. Thousands of voices crying out. Elena, focus on my voice. You're Dr. Elena Vasquez. You're human. You're here with me on the Defiant. Her glowing eyes found his face. For a moment, she seemed to come back to herself. Marcus, I can see their memories. Their whole civilization. Everything they were. Everything they've lost. What do you see? They were explorers once, like us. They traveled between stars, building beautiful cities, creating art and music, and she gasped as another wave of pain hit her. But then the pathogen came. Not from outside, it was their own creation. They tried to link their minds together, to share knowledge instantly across their empire. Marcus held her hand as she spoke. Her skin was burning hot, but he didn't let go. What went wrong? They succeeded too well. The connection became permanent. Individual thoughts merged into a collective consciousness. But consciousness needs individual minds to stay stable. Without separate viewpoints, the collective began to break down. That's what the pathogen is, a dying collective mind trying to find new individual voices. To sustain itself, the ship shuddered as it connected to the architect's structure. Through the porthole, Marcus could see strange organic corridors stretching away into the distance. The walls pulsed with the same rhythm as Elena's heartbeat. They're welcoming us, Elena said. But they're scared. Every species they've tried to connect with has died. They don't understand why we're different. Marcus made a decision that went against every safety protocol he had ever learned. He reached out and touched one of the dark veins on Elena's arm. The effect was immediate. A shock of sensation ran up his arm, and suddenly he could hear them. Thousands of voices whispering in his mind, fear, hope, desperation, and underneath it all, a deep sadness that made his heart ache. But instead of overwhelming him, the voices seemed to calm down when they touched his thoughts. Elena's convulsions stopped, and her breathing became easier. "What just happened?" Marcus asked. Elena looked at him with wonder. "You're not fighting the connection. Most species try to resist it, and that's what kills them. But you're accepting it without losing yourself." Marcus could still hear the architect voices, but they were quieter now, like background music instead of a roaring storm. "I've spent my whole career listening to people in distress. I guess I've learned how to hear suffering without being destroyed by it. That's it," Elena said, sitting up with new strength. "That's the key. Humans can empathize without losing their individual identity. We can feel others' pain and still remain ourselves." Together, they left the Defiant and entered the architect's structure. The Carters were alive. Walls breathing and floors that felt warm under their feet everywhere they looked. They saw signs of a once great civilization now fading away. As they walked deeper into the structure, Marcus began to understand the full scope of the tragedy. The architects had built this place as a last refuge, but it was more like a hospital for the dying. In vast chambers, he saw hundreds of architect bodies lying still, their crystal-like forms dim and cracked. "They're not dead," Elena explained. "They're caught between life and death, unable to die because the collective won't let them go, but unable to live because their individual minds are lost. And the pathogen? It's their attempt to find new minds to join the collective, fresh, individual thoughts that could stabilize the whole system. But every species they've tried has either died from the neural overload or gone insane from the shared consciousness." They reached a central chamber where dozens of architect forms surrounded a pulsing organic core. As Marcus and Elena approached, the core brightened, and the whispers in Marcus's mind became clearer. "You are different," the voices said. "You do not break under our touch." "Why?" Marcus looked at Elena, then spoke aloud to the chamber. "Because we choose not to. We've learned to carry others' burdens without being crushed by them. Show us," the voices pleaded. "Teach us how to be individual and collective at the same time." Elena stepped forward and placed her hands on the organic core. The dark veins on her skin flared with light, and suddenly Marcus could see what she was seeing, the memories of her entire life, but also the memories of every architect who had ever lived. The sensation should have driven him mad, but instead, Marcus found himself sorting through the flood of information, like he sorted through rescue mission data. He focused on Elena's memories while acknowledging the architect experiences, without being overwhelmed by them. "I see it now," Elena said, her voice filled with excitement. "The pathogen isn't trying to erase our minds. It's trying to learn from them. It needs to understand how humans maintain individual identity while still connecting with others." Marcus felt the collective consciousness touch his mind more deeply. He saw the architect's history, their rise, their achievements, their fatal mistake. But he also saw their hope, their desperate desire not just to survive, but to grow and learn. They want to change, he realized. The collective doesn't want to stay as it is. It wants to become something new, something that includes individual voices. Elena nodded. "But they can't do it alone. They need us to show them how." Working together, Marcus and Elena began to demonstrate what they had learned. They shared memories and emotions through the pathogen connection, but they kept their sense of self intact. They showed the collective how to listen without consuming, how to connect without controlling. Slowly, the architect forms around them began to stir. The crystal bodies started to glow with new light, and Marcus could feel individual personalities emerging from the collective mass. But then Elena collapsed. The strain of bridging to completely different forms of consciousness was too much. She had been dying from the pathogen before, and now she had pushed herself far beyond human limits. "Elena," Marcus caught her as she fell. The dark veins under her skin were spreading rapidly, and her breathing was becoming shallow. She has given too much, the architect voices said sadly. The bridge between our kinds requires a sacrifice. She will not survive the completion of the process. Marcus felt anger rise in his chest. No, that's not acceptable. We came here to save everyone, not to trade one life for many. There's no other way. The neural pathways cannot sustain both human individuality and architect collective consciousness. One must be lost for the other to survive. Then we'll find a third option, Marcus said firmly. He looked around the chamber at the architect forms, now glowing with returning individual awareness. You're not just a collective anymore. You have individual minds again. Use them. Help me save her. For a moment, there was silence. Then, one by one, the architect forms began to move. They approached Elena, their crystal bodies pulsing with determination. You have taught us something new, they said. You have shown us that strength comes not from consuming others, but from choosing to save them. Now let us learn this lesson fully. But even as the architects gathered around Elena, trying to stabilize her condition, Marcus could see it might be too late. Her life signs were fading fast, and the pathogen was spreading through her system like wildfire. In the distance, he could hear new alarms. Something else was coming, something that would threaten everything they had accomplished. The alarms echoing through the architect's structure were not coming from Marcus's ship. They were coming from outside the nebula, where massive vessels were dropping out of hyperspace. Marcus recognized the distinctive shapes immediately. Galactic Council warships. They found us, he said, looking at the tactical display that appeared on the organic walls around them. 12 Council battleships and a command carrier. They're setting up a blockade. Elena struggled to sit up, her face pale but determined. They're here to destroy us, aren't they? To stop the pathogen from spreading. One of the newly awakened architects, its crystal form now glowing with individual consciousness, approached them. When it spoke, its voice was different from the collective whisper, clearer, more personal. I am Kithara, once a seeker of knowledge among my people. The Council fleet carries weapons designed to sterilize entire star systems. They mean to turn this nebula into a dead zone. Marcus helped Elena to her feet. How long do we have? They are charging their weapons now, Kithara replied. Perhaps 1 hour before they can fire safely through the nebula's interference. That's not enough time to finish the cure synthesis, Elena said, checking the data on her portable scanner. We're close. But we need at least 3 hours to stabilize the treatment protocol. Marcus looked around the chamber. More architects. We're awakening, their individual personalities emerging after centuries of collective existence. Each one was unique, some curious, some frightened, some filled with hope. They were no longer a faceless collective. They were people, and people were worth saving. Then we buy ourselves more time, Marcus said. Elena, you stay here and work. With the architects on the cure, I'll take the Defiant out and try to convince the Council to listen. Marcus, no? Elena grabbed his arm. Those are warships. You can't fight them alone. I'm not going to fight them. I'm going to talk to them. Marcus smiled grimly. It's amazing how reasonable people become when someone they can't shoot is blocking their target. Kithara stepped forward. You would risk your life for us? For beings you barely know. That's what humans do, Marcus replied. We don't let people die if we can help it, and right now, you're people. Marcus ran back to his ship, leaving Elena in the care of the architects as he powered up the Defiance. Engines, he could see the Council fleet through the nebula clouds. They were massive, each ship carrying enough firepower to crack a moon. He flew out of the architect's structure and positioned his small rescue vessel directly between the Council fleet and the nebula's heart. On the communications display, warning. Signals flashed as the Council ships detected his presence. This is Admiral Vex of the Galactic Council fleet, came a cold, mechanical voice. Unknown vessel, you are ordered to leave the contamination zone immediately or be destroyed. Marcus opened a channel. This is Commander Marcus Chen, Terran Deep Space Rescue Corps. I'm here on a rescue mission, and I'm not moving. Commander Chen, You are harboring a dangerous pathogen that threatens all galactic civilization. Stand down immediately. The only thing dangerous here is your ignorance, Marcus replied. Admiral, I need you to listen to me for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes, and I can explain everything. There is nothing to explain. The pathogen has already reached 7 outer colonies. Infection rates are climbing exponentially. The only solution is complete sterilization. Marcus felt his heart sink. 7 colonies meant thousands of people, maybe millions. But he also knew that destroying the nebula would doom those people along with the architects. Admiral, those colonists aren't lost. We have a cure. We just need time to perfect it. Impossible. Our best scientists have studied the pathogen samples. It is 100% fatal within 72 hours of infection. Your scientists don't understand what they're looking at, Marcus said. This isn't a disease. It's a form of consciousness trying to communicate, and humans can survive it. There was a long pause. Then Admiral Vex spoke again, his voice slightly less certain. Explain. Marcus quickly told the Admiral everything he had learned. He explained about the architect's tragic history, about the pathogen's true nature, and about humanity's unique ability to maintain individual identity while connecting with others. Even if your theory is correct, the Admiral said finally, we cannot risk the spread of this contamination. Too many lives are at stake. Then let me prove it to you, Marcus said. I've been exposed to the pathogen 4 hours now. I should be dead or insane according to your data. But I'm talking to you right now, completely lucid and in control. You could be infected, but not yet symptomatic. Marcus made a decision that would either save everyone or doom them all. Then let me show you. He opened his ship's medical bay to the Council sensors, allowing them to scan him completely. The readings showed the pathogen in his system, but also showed that his brain activity was normal, his vital signs stable. Impossible, Admiral Vex whispered. Not impossible, just human. Marcus looked at the tactical display. More ships were arriving, not Council vessels, but human rescue ships responding to his earlier distress call, crews who had heard his message and chosen to help despite the danger. Admiral, came a new voice on the channel. This is Captain Sarah Kim of the Terran vessel Hope's Dawn. We're here to assist Commander Chen. More voices joined in. This is the New Horizon. We're with you, Marcus, the Star Guardian reporting for duty. Merce's call standing by. Within minutes, dozens of human rescue ships had formed a protective screen around the nebula. They were vastly outnumbered and outgunned, but they had positioned themselves so that the Council couldn't fire without hitting them first. Admiral Vex's voice was tight with frustration. This is madness. You're protecting a contamination that could destroy galactic civilization. We're protecting people, Marcus replied. Human people, architect people, and the people in those colonies who need this cure to survive, even if you are correct about the cure. How do you know it will work for other species? From the architect's structure, Elena's voice joined the conversation. Because we've just synthesized it, Admiral. The cure doesn't just treat the pathogen, it teaches other species how to interface with it safely instead of being consumed by the collective consciousness. They can contribute to it while maintaining their individuality. Dr. Vasquez, the Admiral's voice showed surprise. Our records show you as deceased. I got better, Elena said with a weak laugh. Marcus wouldn't let me stay dead. Admiral, I'm transmitting the cure synthesis data to you now. Your medical teams can verify it. Marcus watched the tactical display as the Council ships held their position. The Admiral was clearly struggling with the decision. Following protocol meant destroying the nebula and everyone in it, but the data Elena had sent was compelling. Admiral, Marcus said quietly, I know you're just trying to protect your people, but protection doesn't always mean destruction. Sometimes it means taking a risk on hope. Finally, Admiral Vex spoke. All ships, stand down weapons, medical teams. Analyze the incoming data and prepare for testing protocols. Marcus felt relief wash over him, but it was short-lived. On his sensors, he could see Elena's life signs fluctuating wildly. The strain of synthesizing the cure while fighting off the pathogen was pushing her beyond her Limits, Elena. He called over the comm. Her voice came back weak and distorted. The cure works, Marcus, but creating it, stabilizing the connection between human and architect consciousness. It's requiring more energy than my body can provide. Marcus looked at the council fleet, now standing down but still ready to act if things went wrong. He looked at the human rescue ships surrounding him, crews who had risked everything based on faith in his judgment. And he looked at the architect structure, where Elena was dying to save to civilizations. Elena, hold on. I'm coming back. No, Marcus. Someone needs to coordinate with the council. Someone needs to make sure the cure reaches the colonies. I can finish this, but what? Elena's voice was barely a whisper. But I don't think I can survive it. The process is burning out my neural pathways. I'm sorry. Marcus, I couldn't keep my promise. Marcus stared at the communication console, his hands shaking. He had sworn not to let her die. He had obeyed her whispered plea in the darkness of the Aurora's edge. But now it seemed like saving everyone else might cost him the one person he couldn't bear to lose. Around him, the rescue ships waited for orders. The council fleet held their fire. The architects worked desperately to complete the cure. And somewhere in the heart of the nebula, Elena Vasquez was dying to save the galaxy. The question was, would her sacrifice be enough? Marcus didn't hesitate. He left the Defiant on autopilot and raced back into the architect structure. Behind him, Captain Sarah Kim's voice crackled over the comm. Marcus, we'll handle the council coordination. Go save your scientist. He found Elena in the central chamber, surrounded by dozens of architects who were channeling their energy into the organic core. Her body was glowing with the same light as the pathogen veins, but she was fading fast. The neural strain of bridging to completely different forms of consciousness was literally burning out her brain. Elena? Marcus knelt beside her, taking her hand. Her skin was translucent now, and he could see the pathogen network spreading through her entire nervous system. Marcus, she whispered, her eyes barely focusing on him, the cure is almost complete. The synthesis is working. I can feel it stabilizing in the colonies. People are getting better. Cathar approached, its crystal form pulsing with concern. She has given too much of herself. The bridge between our consciousness types requires a living conduit. As the cure spreads, it draws more energy from her life force. Then cut the connection, Marcus said firmly. Save her life. If we do that, the cure will destabilize. Everyone who has been treated will relapse, the colonies will fall, and our people will return to the dying collective. Marcus looked around the chamber. Every architect was focused on Elena, channeling their remaining life energy to keep the cure process stable. They were literally sacrificing themselves to save both species. There has to be another way. He said, Elena, you told me that humans are different because we don't give up. Well, I'm not giving up on you. Elena smiled weakly. You already saved me, Marcus. When I died on the Aurora's edge, you brought me back. That extra time let me understand the connection. It let me find the cure. Everything that's happening now is because you refused to let me go. And I'm still not letting you go, Marcus said. He turned to Kithara. You said the cure needs a living conduit. What if there were two conduits? What if we shared the load? The neural strain would be distributed, yes, but it would require both conduits to be permanently linked to the cure network. You would both become living bridges between species. You could never be fully human again. Marcus looked at Elena. Her breathing was shallow, her pulse weak, in the distance. He could hear Admiral Vex coordinating the distribution of cure samples to medical ships. The rescue was working. People were being saved across the galaxy. Elena, what do you want to do? She squeezed his hand with what little strength she had left. I want to live, Marcus. But not if it means everyone else dies. Then we do both. Marcus placed his other hand on the organic core. Immediately, he felt the full force of the cure network flowing through him. It was like being struck by lightning made of pure thought. Every infected person across the galaxy, every architect consciousness, every struggling colony medical team, he could feel them all. The strain was incredible, but when Elena joined, her remaining strength to his, the load became bearable. Together, They formed a stable bridge that could sustain the cure indefinitely. "It's working," Kithara said with wonder. "The cure is stabilizing. The network is holding." Around them, the other architects began to glow brighter as the collective consciousness reorganized itself. Instead of a dying mass mind, it became a network of individuals who could choose when and how to connect with each other. "We are ourselves again," one of them said, "individual, but not alone. Thank you for showing us the way." Months passed. The Void Nebula was transformed from a place of death into a center of learning and cooperation. Human and architect scientists worked together, developing new technologies and exploring the nature of consciousness itself. Marcus and Eleanor remained as living conduits for the Cure network, but they had learned to control their connection. They could experience the vast network of minds when they chose to, but they remained fundamentally human. "Any regrets?" Marcus asked Elena as they stood on the observation deck of the new research station they had built together. Elena leaned against him, watching human and architect children playing together in the station's gardens. The young ones had adapted to the mixed consciousness naturally, able to shift between individual and collective thinking as easily as switching languages. "Only one," she said. "I wish we could have saved everyone who died before we found them." "Cure, we saved who we could," Marcus replied, "and we made sure it won't happen again." Admiral Vex approached them, his mechanical face showing an expression that might have been a smile. "Commander Chen, Dr. Vasquez, the Council has received your proposal for the Galactic Rescue Corps. It has been approved." Unanimously, Marcus nodded. "Thank you, Admiral. When do we start?" "Immediately. We've already identified 17 species in need of assistance. Some are facing natural disasters, others are dealing with technological crises. All could benefit from the human approach to rescue operations." Elena squeezed Marcus's arm. "Ready for another impossible mission? With you, always." They made their way to the docking bay where the Defiant waited, upgraded now with both human and architect technology. But more importantly, it carried a crew of volunteers from multiple species, all trained in the human philosophy of never leaving anyone behind. Captain Sarah Kim met them at the airlock. "Marcus, we just received a distress call from the Andromeda. Relay, a colony ship with 10,000 passengers is trapped in a dimensional storm. The Council says it's impossible to reach them." Marcus and Elena exchanged a look. Impossible had become their favorite word. "Till then we're on our way," Marcus said as the Defiant launched from the station. Kithara's voice came over the comm from the architect section of the ship. "Marcus, Elena, thank you again for teaching us that strength comes not from consuming others, but from choosing to save them." Elena activated the Cure network briefly, feeling the warm presence of millions of minds across the galaxy, humans, architects, and dozens of other species now connected by choice rather than force. All of them alive because two people had refused to give up on each other. "You know," she said to Marcus as they jumped to hyperspace, "when I whispered 'don't let me die' back on the Aurora's edge, I was only thinking about my own life. And now I realize you didn't just save my life. You saved the idea that every life is worth saving, that no one should die alone, forgotten, or without hope." Marcus smiled as he piloted the ship toward another impossible rescue. "That's the thing about humans, Elena. We don't just save people. We save the belief that people are worth saving." Behind them, the Void Nebula glowed with new light, no longer a place where ships went to disappear, but a beacon broadcasting across the galaxy. "This is the Galactic Rescue Corps. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter how impossible it seems, we're coming for you." And in the depths of space, wherever beings were lost, trapped, or dying, they heard that message and held onto hope. Because somewhere out there, humans like Marcus and Elena were proving every day that impossible just meant it hadn't been done. Yet, the galaxy was a little less dark, a little less lonely, and a lot more hopeful. And it all started with a whispered plea in the darkness: "Don't let me die." He had obeyed. And in doing so, he had taught the galaxy what it truly meant to be human.